Hello, and thank you for joining on this topic today. I'm excited to be here. My name is Monica Gibbs, and the topic today is You version 2.0. Well, what does that mean? It means that we're going to be talking about self-care, about self-love, and about how we can show up and be the best versions of ourselves. So I'm super excited to be here, and I'm going to definitely be leaving you with some practical tips on how to be your happiest and healthiest self and how to take a positive, practical, and purposeful approach to your day-to-day routine, and you'll see how it affects your everyday. So our agenda is I'm going to do a short introduction, but most of this time that we have together is going to be focused on you. And again, things that we can do to ensure that we are the happiest and healthiest versions of ourselves. So I'm going to be going through a three-prong model and talking about collectively us and how we can make a difference together. A little bit about myself. Again, my name is Monica Gibbs. I've been with a company called Everest Management in human resources, specifically recruitment, since 1997. And we focus we're a generalist search firm, but I do a lot in financial services. And I'm part of the Human Resources Association of Ontario in the York Region chapter, so born and raised in Toronto, and really passionate about helping other people, not just with recruitment, but with regards to well-being as well, which is what we're talking about today. I've co-authored a couple of books. One was on mentoring, that was my first one, and one just this past year on the power of prayer, so that's been exciting with Alvina Ryan. And the speaking that I do is primarily around culture, employee engagement, retention, and well-being, to name a few. And so super excited again to be here today, and wanted to start with this quote, which some of you may have heard before, but which is super important to me because I've been through corporate burnout, and you can't pour from an empty cup. I've learned that the hard way. And I think the important thing to know here is that we are very good at helping others. A lot of us are good at people pleasing and at being, there for other people, which isn't itself a bad thing at all. It's a good thing, but we have to take care of ourselves first so that we can take care of other people. And I think we can all relate to the airplane mask analogy, which is put your mask on first so that then you can help other people. And so during this past year, and even prior to that, sleep averages have gone down and workloads have gone up. And smartphone usage has gone up. So screen time, as we know, has all gone up. A lot of our kids have been online during COVID and whatnot, and there are apps to track absolutely everything these days. But I think that the most important thing, again, is starting with that self-care model, because self-care is really where it begins. So we're going to be talking about that, and I do have a couple of videos on YouTube. One is Raw Truth, which is my journey, and one is From Busyness to Burnout to Balance. So also recommend checking those out. So this is what we're going to be talking about today. Self-love being the foundation, the middle part is empowerment, and the top is health, because again, we want to take care of ourselves, but it starts with self-love. And what do I mean by that? Some people think that self-love and self-care is selfish, but it's not. Self-love and self-care is really giving the world the best of you instead of what's left of you. And so we're going to be talking about self-love today and the importance of not just needs and wants, but there's only one you, and so understanding the difference between those needs and those wants. And I think that it's important to note that self-love is the first step to happiness and health, and the foundation is so important because everything else is built on that. So think of where you are at in your self-love journey and what you tell yourself when you look in the mirror or throughout your day. We have so many thoughts going through our mind in a day, but it does start with self-love, and we have to think about, again, what we're doing with our time on a day-to-day basis and how much of that time is self-care, which flows from that, which we're going to be talking about in the other two sections as well. But there is only one you. And so instead of comparing to other people or thinking about what we don't have or the things that we want or the things that would be nice to have, I think if we focus and we shift on gratitude, studies show that when we're grateful or that when we're helping other people, it's helping ourselves. It brings us joy. And these are things that are coming into the workplace now, where there's movements taking place, where there's kindness initiatives, and there's I know one company has a chief happiness officer, and all these things are coming into the workplace now where we want to be kind to one another, but we want to be kind to ourselves. We want to be serving and we want to be loving, but we have to be those things to ourselves first. So taking care of you and remembering that there is only one you, and I know that sounds so basic, but your relationship with yourself sets the tone for every other relationship you'll have. And no one is perfect. So this striving for perfection is past now, past tense, passe. No one's there anymore because there is no perfect. It's progress. It's learning from failures, being forgiving with yourself, accepting, being kind to yourself, and yes, loving yourself. And at the end of the day, you are in control of your decisions and how you spend your time. And, this empowerment section, which again is the next on the foundation of self-love, when we take care of ourselves and we have that sense of self-care and self-love, we feel more confident, we feel stronger, we claim our rights, we feel great that, for example, we've taken that time for ourselves. I know that when I start my day with a workout and I carve out that time and I complete it, I feel accomplished, I feel stronger, I feel confident, I feel more empowered to start my day. And so really making those decisions and seeing how that changes the tone of your day, seeing how that changes how you relate to other people, how you speak to other people. And so I think it's really important to claim what's yours and to make the most of the time that you have in a day. And I want to share a little story about fear because, again, I think that control and fear go hand in hand in some regards. And I was at a women's conference, and the leader of the session asked what our dreams and goals were, to write them down. And then she asked, what's holding us back? And one of the big things as we went around the room was fear. So people said, fear of failure, fear of not completing it, fear of what other people will think. Just every answer seemed to have the word fear in it. But fear isn't meant to shut us down. It's meant to wake us up. And I love that quote by Dr. Shannon Irving, because we can learn from fear. We can learn from failures. If we don't try, we won't know. And so I think that we need to really feel empowered and take control of those daily decisions, because when we look at what we're doing in a day and we make room for improvement, we make healthy choices, we will see how that changes and trickles out in other areas of our life. And so this next area I'm super passionate about, and that's the health. And I want to talk a little bit about these 5 areas because they are, I think, the most important when it comes to health and well-being, and I call this the power design. And we'll start with fitness. I think that sometimes I hear people say, I don't have time to work out. Other people say, oh, I hate it. I hate going to the gym or whatever it is. But I think when we find something that brings us joy, something that we enjoy doing, and we make the time, we carve out that, even 30 minutes a day to move your body will help prevent disease, will mood boost you. Those endorphins will help you. You'll feel better. You'll feel stronger. There's just so many benefits to working out, but find something that you enjoy, carve out the time. There are so many things online now, and if you need something, I can definitely help point you in the right direction. We work with a platform that incorporates all of these 5 areas. The other thing is nutrition, and again, fueling our body, because what we put in our body is so important to how we feel, how we sleep, how we act, really, and the energy that we have. So really healthy nutrition is so important. And sleep, again, I've mentioned earlier that sleep averages have gone down since COVID and that screen time averages have gone up, but sleep is so important. And I can't stress that enough, to be aiming for 8 hours of sleep a night. Hydration, again, drinking enough water, and coffee doesn't count in the hydration formula. So it's really taking your body weight, dividing it by 2, and then that in ounces is what you should be drinking a day. And mindset, and a lot of people, again, who say they don't have enough time in their day, to carve out 30 minutes and treat it as a business meeting, I think is so important, because those 30 minutes will trickle into all other areas. They will make you feel more strong, accomplished, confident, ready to kind of seize the day kind of thing. So you can run or work out while you're listening to something, while you're listening to your favorite music or a positive podcast, an ebook, something like that. So you can often tie 2 things together and still win-win, get ahead of things with combining your workout with something positive that's filling your mind. So these are, I think, really important, and I do think that this model of having self-love and empowerment and health all go together, but that they're meant to go in this flow. So let's talk a little bit more about that. Um, I had a quote here. I don't know why it's not showing up, but alone we can do so little and together we can do so much. I'm sure you've all heard that quote before, but take time and trust the process. Again, I think a lot of it is about finding something that you enjoy and then really going for it. And so what's wrong with this picture? Overcompensation. If we're focused only on the health or mainly on the health and not the other areas, then we don't have the foundation. We don't have a solid foundation. So self-love isn't there. The empowerment is lacking, and it's not a healthy structure. And so another one is too much empowerment, but again, the self-love isn't there, and maybe the health is lacking, and we've got this dictatorship, this arrogance, this entitlement going on. There's too much empowerment, but it all has to be in balance. And the foundation can't be too big because it starts with self-love and then flows from there. When we're in check and we're on top of our self-care routine and we're feeling our happiest and healthiest, we're going to want to help other people. We're going to want to share that with other people. Naturally, when we get excited about something, we share it with other people. And so I want to ask what brings you joy and how you share that with other people. And if you feel that in one of these areas you're lacking. Because I think that when these things are in check, then we're in our best state. We take care of ourselves, we speak positively to ourselves, we make healthy choices, we're empowered, then we can fuel our body, fuel our mind with healthy decisions, and then we can serve other people from an optimal, healthy state. And so I thought this was really interesting, the top health and wellness goals and priorities. They did a survey, and it's not just, again, fitness and physical things that show up, but mental health, maintaining weight, eating healthier, aging well, all these different things came up, and reducing stress. And I think that's really important too, that we find ways that we can reduce stress and improve sleep and increase energy. And I think I love Brene Brown. I don't know if you've read any of her books, but I love her work. I love her. She has a great TEDx if you haven't listened to it yet. But I love this quote. It takes courage to say yes to rest and play in a culture where exhaustion is seen as a status symbol. And it's so true. So many times a day I hear people say they're stressed, they're burnt out, they're exhausted, they're tired, they're pouring from an empty cup. And I think that we can shift that. We can make these choices for ourselves and shift it to say, I made a positive choice for myself today. I had a great workout today. And then that will spill out to other people. And so if you haven't checked out her work, Daring Greatly, Dare to Lead, Gifts of Imperfection, she really has some great work out there about the power of vulnerability. Highly recommend. Letting go of who you think you're supposed to be and embracing who you are. I love that. There is only one you. Remember that. And remember that we deserve to be celebrated for our uniqueness. So just remember that this model is built around you and your decisions and your choices. Remember that you are unique, you are strong, you are powerful, and you are loved. So don't suppress your authentic self. Be you and make choices that are going to fill your cup so that then you can start from a healthy base. And I would open it up to questions and answer right now. I also want to say that I'm reachable through my website, monicagibbs.com. There's some links at the top that link to my social media. I'm on LinkedIn and Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. And I do have my videos up on YouTube as well under Monica Gibbs. So feel free to connect if you have any questions about anything I've talked about. If you're looking to make changes to your wellness routine, I'd be happy to help. And thank you again so much for your time today.